I'm Bob Middaugh, I'm the County Administrator. How are you? Welcome to JCC 101. What I'm going to go through today is some of the history of the county, how we're organized, how we function, some of those kinds of things, and certainly leave time for any questions if you have them. You can send them to me later if you'd like, but you're an easy crowd, so I think we'll be able to manage it. So, as you know, I hope, Jamestown Settlement was originally established in 1607. And shortly thereafter, in 1634, the then colonial government organized geographic areas called shires, which there were 8 of them at the time. York was one, we were one, I think Charles City County was one, which eventually evolved into the counties we have today. So the boundaries are a little bit different, but people always wonder, why are we called James City? And not just to confuse folks, because it was originally called James City, C-I-T-I-E, Shire. So there is where our name came from. Today, these are some stats on the county. You'll see that we've grown. We actually surpassed York just this past year in population. We're about 1,000 ahead of them right now. We're projected to grow a good bit more. And over the past several years, we were one of the fastest growing counties in the Commonwealth. Then the economy kind of tanked and everything stopped, so that may happen again. We'll see. The county itself, if you're not familiar with the boundaries, is really shaped unusually, but we have the York River on the far side and the James River on the bottom side, and that the Chickahominy on what would be our western boundary. And you can see we kind of intertwine between York and the city. It's very hard to tell, as you know, if you're from here, that where exactly you are as you're driving through the communities. But we're 144 square miles, and I see we have 139 miles of shoreline, which is very impressive. And if you haven't seen our county by air, I would encourage you to do so. It's an absolutely beautiful county. With all the water and the trees and the open spaces we have, it's just spectacular from the air. So in the county, I'm going to talk about the Dillon Rule in just a moment, but we have 5 geographic areas that each elect a supervisor that forms our board of supervisors. And you see them colored as, I'm not supposed to turn my back to you so you can see my microphone, but I'm doing badly. You see we have 5 voting districts. We have 15 schools in a shared system with the city of Williamsburg, and 20 parks right now. So we're very proud of that. We think we have a very nice park system. The way we are structured is the voters select a board of supervisors, and the supervisors in turn hire me, the county administrator. So ours is a traditional form of county government with board of supervisors, 5 in number, and we have elected here to have the county administrator option. In this form, we operate very much like a corporation. The supervisors are essentially the board of directors. They're the policymakers. Virtually all of the major decisions, the policy decisions, are approved by the board of directors, this board of supervisors. I serve as the chief executive officer of the entity, and my day-to-day responsibilities are to run the affairs of the county. All the employees, with the exception of one, the county attorney, report to me through my department heads. And you can see the staff I have will give you an indication of the services we provide as a county. We, of course, have the internal services of human resources and financial management. We have a fairly sizable development management group, and this is where planning, the zoning, building permits, environmental controls for erosion, that kind of thing are handled. Police department, which is actually a bit unusual for a county to have a police department. Most counties have a sheriff, which we do too, but our sheriff only deals with the courthouse facility, providing bailiff services there, and providing process for different documents around about the county. We elected for this many years ago, and subsequently it's really not possible to do, so we're, I think, probably one of the last and only one of the few counties that actually have a police department. We have a fire department, which I'll tell you is really a very interesting department. Not so much that we have one, but we also have, as part of it, an integral part of it, a volunteer fire company that's based in Toano. They date way back, and I think they were the first fire service we actually had. But as we grew as a county and started to add career people, we have 4 career stations and the 1 volunteer station. We still have it. In fact, we're rebuilding it this year for them. And they are at capacity. They just don't have any more space to add volunteers, and they work virtually seamlessly with our fire department, which is really so unique and so good for the community, because they just sync and blend, and they perform marvelously. We have an economic development function, communications function, which deals with a lot of our media, our this, for example, this tape you'll see is done by our communications division, our social media, things of that. A variety of operating departments we have. You see, I also have an assistant administrator who manages those on my behalf. Parks and Rec, if you haven't been to our facilities, they're wonderful. Community services, which includes social services and housing. General services, which is pretty much our maintenance division. They'll repair and maintain the things in the facilities we have, and inclusive of our fleet. And then the service authority is where we do the water and sewer functions in the county, and we have pretty much the central part of the county covered with water and sewer, and a capacity to grow that some more. But there's a specific area identified in the county that is called the primary service area, where they are focused and where they spend their time. So as we operate, one of the things that we are, not just we, but every jurisdiction in the Commonwealth, it operates under something called the Dillon Rule. I skipped over that a minute ago. And the Dillon Rule is really unusual in the United States. Most communities operate under something called a home rule approach to government. And I'll contrast the two for you quickly. But the Dillon Rule is something that dates back to a judge, I think it was in Kansas or Iowa, someplace in the middle of the United States. And he had a ruling on a case that subsequently was embraced as an approach to government, that jurisdictions, municipalities, in our case counties, could only do what the General Assembly here in Virginia, or in other places that use it, specifically what they allow you to do. And they have to, that means there actually has to be a piece of legislation that says, James City County, you're allowed to do that, whatever that is. So the home rule, it would be different in that municipalities are given just a broad grant of power to do what they need to do to provide for the citizens in their jurisdiction. So it's a very, very different approach. So if we want to do something different, as mundane as controlling grass and weeds, and we'd had to do this instead of a real example, we have to go ask the General Assembly's permission to exercise that power. We literally had to go to the General Assembly and say, can we write citations for properties that have excess grass and weed growth in an occupied dwelling? Up until that point, we were not allowed to go enforce weed and grass violations in occupied dwellings. So anyway, it's unique to Virginia.
So all municipalities in the state of Virginia operate under
All municipalities, if you didn't hear the question, we're taping this, was do all municipalities operate under that? And yes, they do. So again, that's fairly unique. Also, as you look at the county, and this is very confusing to people, counties and cities in Virginia are independent and separate. There is no overlap. You are either a city or you are a county. There are towns which can be within a county, but they don't have the full range of powers as cities and counties. We generally have about the same powers, but we are completely independent of one another. Sometimes that's a problem as we try to work regionally or cooperatively across the Commonwealth, because we have this fierce independence that we've had for so many years. One of the other things that I guess separates cities and counties is that cities do maintain and have responsibility for their road systems. Counties do not. That was taken by the Commonwealth, I think back in the 1930s during the Byrd era. At that time, they were trying to be helpful to, I guess, then struggling counties, and it's turned out to be quite a boondoggle for us, because it's, as we get into some of the challenges, you'll see that we have virtually no ability to plan and build and anticipate our community needs through the road system. Likewise, we don't fill the potholes, we don't plow the snow. And sure as heck, when it snows, most of our people don't understand or remember that. They'll call my office and say, hey, my road's not plowed. They say, well, mine's not either. And you know who to call? And then we point them to VDOT. But we try to have a very good working relationship with them. But again, that's unique between cities and counties. Otherwise, our powers are fairly similar. As you look at, again, the corporate structure, I told you Board of Supervisors is the policymaking body. I'm the chief executive. And again, it's probably the closest we have is like I said, the corporate model. The board I showed you. The other folks that represent you, you can see there's 2 state senators, generally kind of north and south in the county. And if you want to see the exact boundary, if you go to our website, the county's website, you'll find a map that actually defines the line for you. The same with our delegates. Again, they pretty much break into north and south, but there's 2 delegates. We have a congressman and 2 senators. So that's those folks. We also have an elected school board. These are our school representatives, and they marry or match the very same districts as our Board of Supervisors, so they're exactly the same geographic area. So if you know what district you're in, it applies to the school board as well. The city also adds 2 to make it a 7-member board, and that's we share the system with them, and that dates back, I think, to the 1950s or so, and it's been a fairly unique and very successful model for us too, as we look at that. There's been some conversation, you may have heard it, about whether we should expand our Board of Supervisors to be 7. It kind of comes and goes. That would also affect the school board. So again, if we had 7 supervisors, you'd also then have 7 board members plus the 2 from the city, which would be 9. All right, so one of the things I've been working on with my staff over the couple of years I've been here is to more clearly define our mission, our vision, and our values, and integrate that into the daily work that we do here in the county on behalf of our citizens. And when we went back and looked, I mean, we did a lot of revising, but we actually liked the original mission statement that you see here. And the kind of the key words are partnership and quality. If you look at it, we recognize, and we hope all of our citizens do, that we can't do everything alone. We need your help, we need your support, we need your involvement. And we're all trying to get the same thing, which is a quality community. Our vision statement is really defined by several elements, and within each of there's more definition that kind of defines what it is. But you see, it starts with the thought that we are an historic place, and I'm told it's not an historic, it's a historic, and I just can't get my arms around that. So we are a historic place, as you well know. That's kind of the foundation of the community, and we celebrate on our vision. We try to value healthy minds and bodies, and that goes to the school system, the park system, a variety of things, and we certainly have a wealth of educational opportunities here in the community we're also very proud of. The next 2, we have special character and a community of choice. That goes to the high quality of life that we have and look forward to maintaining on behalf of our residents. And there's a variety of elements that work into that. And also that we think it's important, we hope you expect, that we will be a first-class government. So one of the overlays we then have too is we developed a set of core values. And this is something that we stress with all of our employees and everything they do every day. We had a set of core values, but it used to be this document like 25 things, and you could never remember it nor apply it. So what we set out to do is to simplify it and to make it something that the employees could remember, use easily, and that we could communicate to you. And when I'll show you our new logo in a moment. It's this. But that is part of what we're trying to do is establish firmly the county identity under these elements, the vision and the values, and we want to have a face that's common to the whole county, and that's our new logo, but I'll get there in a moment. And we went through an exercise with all of our employees to come up with this, and we distilled it down from a list of probably 100 different values. And it was interesting, the things that popped up. I couldn't be happier. I mean, they're very important and wonderful values. We started with integrity. That was high on everybody's list, and particularly in the public sector. We lose our integrity, we lose you, and that's what we've got to trade on. So it's important for us to be sure that we actually do what we say we're going to do, and that you can count on that. We believe in collaboration, and we truly do, not just within the departments, but within the region, whether we work with York, or we work with the city, or we work with other jurisdictions around. It's important to do that. It's important for us because we generally do a better job of it, and it's important for you because we, most of the time, can save you money if we do it. We take this to an internal level here to make sure that all of our departments are collaborating with each other, and we've made some really good strides on that. I can't say it was always the case because we, in, county government like any, we're big enough that you end up with stovepipes, and that people kind of just stay in their little world and do their thing and don't want to share, or they don't want to help each other out. And we're trying to break those barriers down and actually get them to play nicely together and share, and they're doing, I think, a pretty good job of it. Excellence, again, was on everybody's list, is that it's our job to do whatever we do, whatever you ask us to do, excellent, as well as we can. And then also stewardship. This was one that it surprised me a little bit, but it shouldn't in retrospect, that if we are given a variety of public resources, whether it's money, people, equipment, buildings, and it's our job to be sure that we appropriately pay attention to those resources, use them wisely, and you apply that more broadly to the community, it goes into our natural resources as well, the streams, the rivers, the trees, the different elements that make up our community, and really are a very important part of our community that people, I think, come to expect will be here for future generations. So those are our core values. Now, as I told you, this is new for us, and just this focus, and we're trying to drive this through the organization. So from the very top to the very bottom, every employee knows the core values, follows them, and will translate that to actions that you as citizens see. And so we designed in-house this new logo. And I couldn't be more pleased with the way it came out. It was all done in-house by county employees and county staff. They did a marvelous job, and they must have gone through like 50 different iterations to get to this point. But this is the product, and what it's trying to do is illustrate a couple of things. It shows our historic past. You've got Jamestown 1607 there. It also is supposed to convey a forward-moving direction with the sails going the way they are. The sails represent the 3 ships that originally came to Jamestown in 1607, and of course on the water, the wave. And the color of the sails, people always ask. We tried to actually invent something that fit. It just didn't work. But what they really are, if you remember when the 400th anniversary was celebrated here, there was a big celebration. Legacy Hall was built, and there was a public art piece commissioned to go into Legacy Hall. It's a lovely piece if you haven't seen it. It has 3 sails in 3D, and they are that color. So that's how we came up with a color scheme. And if you recently saw any of the LPGA coverage that was held at Kingsmill, I hope you noticed our logo very prominently displayed around the golf course, but each of the caddies on the back of their bibs had our logo emblazoned on it, and it showed up just perfect. And we got a lot of attention. We've actually had calls about, what is that lovely thing and where'd it come from, and so we're real happy about that. So, some of the things that we're going to deal with, as we're going forward here, principal concern or issue for us is growth. And as I said, it's important to us that we try to maintain the quality of life that we have here for the folks that are here and the people who will eventually come here. And that is a challenge sometimes as you are growing. So if we pick up the pace of growth again, you'll see some pressure on a variety of fronts. Traffic, transportation is, of course, a very huge element associated with that. It's one of the things that people really often notice first as a symptom of growth. And if you don't manage it properly, you don't do something with it, people get cranky, and I understand that. I mean, you only have to look at the double bridge crossing, a couple weeks ago. That got people a lot of attention. And anyway, but a challenge for us, though, is, again, as I said, because we don't control that, is trying to help manage it without really owning the responsibility to do so. So it's challenging for us. Capital projects, as we grow, we will need to add new facilities, new things, yet still try to keep track of the things and keep up the things we have. And one of the criticisms sometimes governments get is that well, why should you build you something if you're not going to take care of it? Which is very true. So as we build the new police station or renovate Building D or the different things we go through, we have to have in place a plan that will care for it and respect it as the asset that it is and not let it fall apart. And as we grow, that again gets to be a bit of a challenge sometimes. What we really need to focus on as we look at growth is how do we make sure that we develop the economy here, the economic side of our activities, because we have like 80% of our value right now in houses in the community, and houses just don't pay the way. They just don't. So we don't build another house. That'll be just fine for a while, but what we do need is to make sure that we have a vital business and commercial sector that really does carry a big load in terms of paying taxes, and that's going to be important to us. And if you look at one down, tourism, that's also an important part of our economy. We're trying right now to restructure the way we do things in the region in order to have a better, more cohesive marketing message that we get out to people so we can attract more folks here, because that is one of the growth areas that we have in the community. Meals and sales and room taxes has been something that's been helping us, through the last couple of years, and it's starting to come back. We're getting very good increases in our tourism visits. One of the areas that we are specifically trying to carve out in tourism is sports tourism. If you're not aware, we have some wonderful athletic facilities up at War Hill High School and the Warner Stadium up there and all the athletic fields. And we've been very successful at attracting regional lacrosse and soccer and softball events, things of that nature. And we think that's something we are uniquely positioned to grow and to add to the region. And it really is very much a regional benefit. The LPGA, for example, and it's, I guess, sporting, but that didn't just benefit our county, it benefited the entire region. We have coming to town next year the National Softball Association tournament. It's a huge event, and they're not all staying here. So that will also benefit the region. We're very, very pleased with that. But one of the things, as you look at it, that is really particularly a challenge for us is that our revenue streams are really quite constrained. And you can see fully half of our revenues come from real estate taxes. That's a lot. And as a principal source of income, it's also really not very flexible unless we come in and raise your taxes on an annual basis, which I know you just all love. So we try very hard not to do that. So our challenge is to try to grow the other elements of our revenue stream, and that's where we find the tourism part. But things like business tools and machinery is one that, again, is a good thing for us, but it's something that doesn't land directly on you for property taxes. So as we grow, again, if it's primarily houses, you're going to see that grow a little, but our cost of serving those houses will be greater than the revenue we derive. So that's a bit of a challenge for us. You see on the real estate taxes, we're currently at 77 cents per thousand. We did not raise taxes last year, which was fairly unique in this area. And we said, well, how'd you do that? Well, we planned for it. I mean, we actually spent 2 years saving money and cutting the costs we could so that we had some kind of a balance that we could use to go forward and to apply until we kind of had the economy help us and tick up a bit to generate some more taxes. You see what it is. We have really actually decreased taxes since '02, and again, we didn't increase this year. As you look at how we spend the money, again, this is something not a lot of people appreciate, the largest share of our money goes into the school system. We're about 90%, the city pays about 10%. It's just by volume of students, that's pretty much how we allocate it. And clearly we should pay more. But that is the biggest single chunk of money that we spend, and it is going to get increasingly more expensive because, for a couple of reasons. The state is pulling away from support to the school system, so we're getting less and less help from the state. We've passed them in terms of our share probably years ago, and then every time they have a problem in Richmond, they tend to share it with us, and they'll, like in this past year, they gave a new exemption on property taxes. They didn't ask us. I said, well, this is a wonderful thing. We're going to do that. We're going to give an exemption on property tax. So counties, you're going to give the money. I said, swell. That costs us about $300,000. So again, that is where your tax dollars go, and we'll see that as educational demands and needs change, and they are, particularly in this world of technology, we'll need to spend more time focusing on our schools. Now, as you look for ways that you want to, I hope you want to deal with us or participate in the things that we do at the county, obviously we have a series of public meetings, and we have, of course, the board meets twice a month. And on top of that, you have boards and committees, like the Planning Commission, for example, is one of our bigger ones. They'll meet, I think, twice a month as well. But that's where they'll do a lot of the land development kinds of discussions that generally are of interest to people in that area, and we get good attendance there. But we have a variety of boards and committees that help our board in terms of governing the community, and we use them as sounding boards, places for input, for review. If we have an economic development issue that we want somebody to study, we'll send it to our Economic Development Authority, and then they'll come back with some information. If you want to be on a board or commission, we'd welcome your application. We actually, for those here, we actually have some out in the hall. Please feel free to do it. You can find it online on our website, which again we try to keep current. There's opportunities to volunteer in a variety of different places. Our Parks Department is kind of the owner of that activity, so if you have an interest, we can certainly hook you up in whatever else you want to do. And we'd encourage you to stay informed in one of a variety of ways. Let me go forward. Those are all the things that you can use to find us, to talk to us, to communicate, and starts with our website and goes through the TV station, which if you're watching this, you're obviously using, and then a variety of other social media type things that are available, and we're working on those daily, trying to build them and strengthen them, make it easier for you, not harder, and we hope you take advantage of those. And this lady, Latara Branch, this presentation is actually part of something she's organized. This is the open house that you're attending, so we thank Latara, but she is the person that we've specifically hired to do citizen outreach, citizen engagement. We used to have a whole department that did it, and when we went through budget cuts years ago, that kind of went away. So Latara is the department. We've got a department of one, but she does a marvelous job. But Latara is a person that you can call. If you don't know anything about the county, you just have a question, call Latara. She'll find it for you, because that's her job, is again to help our citizens. She'll do a lot of engagement with the homeowners associations, with the different neighborhoods that exist around the county. We'll attend their meetings very often to share information, to figure out what's going on, or right or wrong or otherwise. But it's a great way to find us, and Latara is happy to come out to your community and make a presentation, work with you, and tell you more about us. And to find us, you can see that would be me. And I work in Building D, which is right across the campus here. If you haven't been through, please go through. And again, our website is probably an easy way to get information to contact us. It's something that everybody uses. And you'll notice, if you hadn't before, we've changed our website address and name just so it's easier for you to find and use. James City County, VA. It's long, but you can remember it. It used to be jccegov.com, and that was hard. So we changed that too. That's part of the new logo, the new look, and trying to reach out to folks. So that, in a nutshell, is James City County 101. I'm happy to take any questions you might have.